Hi, I'm Dawn Montefusco, Transformational Writing Coach, and this is the healing power of words. Create with passion and write powerful stories that have impact. And today we have a dear colleague, friend, and someone I look up to so much, Lisa Tenner. She's an authority on book writing, publishing, and creativity, and winner of the Silver Stevie Award for Coach Mentor of the Year. Lisa Tenner guides experts, entrepreneurs, and visionaries to joyfully write and publish. Lisa has been quoted in the New York Times, featured on ABC News, and more. She blogs for Medium and Thrive Global, serves on the faculty of Harvard Medical School's publishing course, and teaches award-winning book writing courses. Lisa Tenner's clients have received 5- and 6-figure book deals from a variety of publishers, from Random House, HarperCollins, and Hachette to niche and university publishers. Her clients' books have been featured by Oprah, NPR, Today, Good Morning America, and all over national media, including the New York Times, Cosmopolitan, Women's Health, Forbes, and much more. She is just spreading the love and making a difference. Hi, Lisa. It's so good to see you.
Hi, Dawn. It is so wonderful to be here with you and all our participants and listeners and watchers.
Yeah. So what are you doing? What's going on lately? Start with that. Like, what
Well,
projects
I'm
are you
picking a lot of berries. we have, we have a bumper crop of raspberries and blueberries, and so I spent a lot of time doing that. But I find as a writer, it's so wonderful to be in nature. It just really feeds me, and I see that with my clients too. So that's a big thing. But the other piece is I'm like writing so prolifically, and a lot of times my focus has been so much on my clients. I haven't done as much of my own writing.
Right.
But I've been working on this book that I'm so excited about. I'm at like the 18th or 19th draft of it. I'm really polishing. I don't feel like it's excessive. Like it really feels like it wants that kind of attention. So it's out with beta readers. And then I got these ideas for these journals. So I've written 3 of them, and I've decided to self-publish the journals for a lot of reasons, some which might be obvious, but that is the first one's going to come out in January. So I'm really excited. It feels like a very hyper creative time.
Oh, that's such a good feeling, especially for people like us who are always, we have our job, we have our businesses, and we're helping others. And I think in that way we get lost sometimes. We just get lost in the shuffle. However, let me grab my notes here. We are in a strange time in history. And in many ways, this is a great time for writers. I think it's the best time in all of human history to be a writer. And especially with, writing about our truths, our stories, and getting it out there. I mean, what would you say about that? Like, don't you think that, like, if you want to write, now is a good time to get up and do it?
Absolutely. I feel like it is such a great time. And, I think there are a number of reasons for it without sounding too new agey or something. I do think we're living in an extraordinary time. And I feel like there is a lot of support, just even energetically, to be doing this. It's really time. If you're somebody who has, for whatever reason, like held back, this is the time to not hold back anymore and really really shine. And I do think a lot of people are finding they're home more or have an ability to set aside time for writing that they may not have had before. There's so many resources, I think, more than ever before. And also there's this sense of urgency, right? We all feel like, wow, if not now, when? And I think that for everyone listening, I hope you're thinking about, like, what if the world doesn't get to hear my voice? That would be a loss for everyone, not just you. And so there's almost I think there is a responsibility to step up and say, okay, I'm stepping into it, and I'm owning my power, my creative power.
Excellent. What's great too is with social media, being as wacky as it is. But what's great is the same message. This is what I love right now, is what we're getting. We're seeing this. The same message is being delivered by hundreds of thousands of people, whatever it is, whether it be, safety issues, the issues about racism, being careful out there, essential workers. There's so many of the same things that people are speaking about or writing about on social media, but differently. Every single person writes it a different way.
Yeah.
And so it's received in a new way every time, which proves that, that you as a writer out there, you have a voice that is unique for you. And we want to hear it. I mean, I think that's what's so beautiful now, is that we actually really do want to hear from all the generations and all the different kinds of people out there. And but one particular question I have is, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges that writers struggle with, and how do you address that?
So, self-doubt is obviously a really common one. Finding the time,
Right.
perfectionism can be, or fear of failure, fear of success, all of those things. And accountability, right? We might start off strong and then we fall off, or feeling overwhelmed, not knowing where to start.
Yeah.
So, I often tell people, start with your vision and your goals, because it'll really help you in the times that you get stuck. It'll help you in the times you feel overwhelmed or you're not sure where to go next. Just reading that will often help inform the next step in the process, but it will also help you stay engaged and passionate about the work you're writing, whether it's a book or a blog or whatever. It'll help you stay engaged and excited and remind you why you're doing it. And sometimes you'll read it and you'll say, oh, it doesn't feel right anymore, and then it's time to really upgrade your vision, and revise it, just like you would any other piece of writing. But I find that vision and goal statement is just so powerful, and it gets you writing too. So that's another bonus. But that's a really great place to start, whether it's self-confidence, whether it's overwhelm, whether it's time. That piece will help with everything. And then, with the time piece, you do need to figure out, okay, what are the times I'm going to write? How am I going to make them sacred in my calendar and not put it aside for other things? How am I going to stay accountable? So, there are other pieces then to address some of these issues, but those I would say are the primary
I love what you're saying. One of the things I believe, and I know is that writers really need to write together, which is why writing coaches are so important, like what you do. And the plethora, everybody out there, the plethora of information this woman has, and the resources is phenomenal. Seriously, look her up. She's incredible. But one of the things that you do so gracefully is kind of without sort of shoving it in anyone's face, you pretty much are like, hey, writers don't write alone. Writers need guidance and accountability and someone in their corner. You're like the woman in the corner for your writers. I mean, your writers, recently, you have like 3 or 4 Nautilus Awards recently?
Oh, yes, we did. This year we had 3, which was really exciting. And some of those authors won multiple awards. So they won the Nautilus and some other really impressive awards, journalist awards and other things. So yeah, it is really exciting, and it's so fulfilling to see their books going out there and making a difference. It's part of what I think you and I both love about this field, is that we're just not just making a difference for our clients, but for all the people their lives.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Now you have the tenor method. You said it's like 5 steps for inspired writing. Would you want to share that with us, maybe?
Yeah, I'd love to. So really, like, I call them steps, but they're really elements. And some of these you could combine into a step. But recently, you talked about community, right, and support. And I've been offering this class that you and I spoke about, Get Your Writing Done, twice a month. And we just get on this call. We do the 5 steps. And we do them fairly quickly, the first hour, the first 3 steps, and then we write. And then we get back together and do the last step, which is gratitude and a little bit of sharing. And then the second hour, we do kind of a repeat of that. So I could give us like even a short
Yeah.
actual experience of it if you'd like.
This would be so cool. Yes, definitely.
So the first, so tenor method, we just used my, originally I had the acronym WRITE, and I was calling it Writing in the Zone. But what I found was I never liked the W, and that's like the first letter of the acronym. So all the others worked perfectly. And it just, after, I mean, Dawn, it must have been like 7 years I used this acronym, and I kept asking people, and if you could find a good W, let me know. And I finally decided, you know what, it's time. And was in a group with some of my clients, and they came up with, well, how about the tenor method? And first it felt a little highfalutin, and it grew on me. I was like, okay, maybe I need to, and I think this is a good message for everyone on the call. Like, there are times where we need to own it. And so, being a writer, being an author, like, own it. And so I had to own it, I guess. So here it is, the tenor method for creative flow.
I love it.
The first step is tune in. And I, for the past 4.5 or 5 years, I've been practicing Qigong, which is, I think you know what it is, and maybe most of your listeners do, but it's kind of like yoga, but it's from the Chinese tradition. And a lot of like Shaolin monks and other Taoist practitioners practice Qigong. And it comes out of both martial arts and then also the more spiritual religious traditions. So interesting combination. So the big thing in doing Qigong is breath. And I'm not the first person to say this, but breath is such a powerful tool for any creative endeavor, actually any endeavor ever, right?
Ever. Agreed.
It makes us present, and now I think breath has become kind of a thing, but breath brings us into the present moment. And so the first step, T, is tune in, and I love to do that with the breath. So maybe we'll just take a few deep breaths here. Okay, and maybe if you want, you can put your hands on your belly, below your belly button. Breathing in and breathing out with a sigh. And when we breathe in, we can feel that a sense of expansion, not just in the belly, but the sides of the body, the back of the body, and moving from the belly up into the solar plexus and the heart space, and even the chest and shoulders, right? I recently had a shoulder injury, and it's so easy. I think that one of the biggest contributors was typing. So it's so easy as writers to like hunch.
Yeah, we do that.
Really want to spend time opening up. And when we're open like this, it's certainly good for our bodies, but it also opens the heart space and helps us write in that state of flow. So, some of these things may seem like simple, but the power of them is so profound.
Absolutely.
So we'll do one more breath, breathing in and feeling that expansion.
Oh, that felt good.
Yeah, and sometimes too, we breathe in and expand, and then when we breathe out, we can feel ourselves like kind of connecting with the earth, connecting.
Yeah, it felt like my busy brain finally just went down. Yeah.
Yeah, and our best writing, our brain has an important role to play, and that left brain, linear brain has an important role to play. But our best writing comes when our heart's open and with that those right brain pieces. So tune in. And the E in tenor is engage your muse, your creative source.
Ooh, I like
that. Do that any way you want. You can do, like you read to me, a really beautiful
prayer.
And you can do that with a prayer. You can do a little dance for your music, and like whatever turns you and your muse on, right? Whatever ignites that spark. But one thing we've been doing in class is we're doing Zoom calls, and just in the chat box, I ask people to, actually, we've been doing that with intention. So one thing I've been suggesting is just write at the top of your page, "Hello, Muse."
Oh,
and if you want, you could say a little more in that message, but it's kind of fun to just put that at the top of the page.
Yeah.
There's your muse showing up on the page, right? And you're acknowledging that. So that's E, engage your muse. N is note your intention and goals. So that's, we talked about that vision statement a little, and that's such a great place to start.
Yeah.
So in this step, you could read your vision statement, but also make clear to yourself, what are you going to work on this particular session? So you have a nice outline. Even if the outline changes, it doesn't have to be, made in stone, but you can look at your outline and say, oh, I feel like starting here. And it doesn't have to be in order. It can really be in the order that feels good to you. Maybe something happened yesterday with a client of yours or a family member that is the perfect story to tell for chapter 6. So as you're looking at your outline, it's like, oh, wow, I have this great juicy story. Let me start there. So it gives you a lot of freedom actually to have an outline to work from, as we both know as coaches.
Totally.
So know your intention and goals. And in class, we've been making it really simple with a one-word intention that then somebody will read out loud the group intentions. So so that's like the first 3 steps. And you can simplify that to 1 step. The elements are nice. And then we just, the next E is enjoy creating, enjoy writing.
Oh, I love that.
So then we're just writing. So, and you can do this on your own, but you could do it with others. You could do it in a group. It lends itself to,
we forget the joy part, like that's so important to even just call out, like enjoy it, wow. It's so funny how we forget, literally, oh yeah, I'm supposed to enjoy life,
And so after the writing is relaxing gratitude. And this is such a powerful practice because everything goes well. It's so nice to acknowledge that, it expands it gives it even more energy, so that the next time you're writing, you've like contributed to that full cup, right? But if you don't have a great experience writing, like you feel like you're a little stuck, or you're just like, I don't think anything I wrote was so good, focus on the gratitude. Oh, I set the time apart, I worked with my partner, or I was in this class, or focus on what worked. And of course, the more we put our attention on what works, the more we create that. And also, we're recognizing that creative muse. So now we're calling on that relationship with that aspect of ourselves.
Wow.
And if we diss it, that's not good for a relationship. No. So feed the relationship, and this last step really feeds that relationship, and it sets you up for next time and the next time. And it also helps you see, like you might say, I'm not crazy about what I wrote, but this one sentence is really good.
Yeah.
And so then, what, next time I write, I'm just going to start with that sentence and start over.
Yeah.
So, there's so many ways to use that last step to really power the writing and contribute to the writing.
It's funny you should bring that up. One of my groups, we're in our last month, and I'm doing an everyday challenge. I'm in it too. The Pomodoros, 21 Pomodoro, minimum, right? As the, most of, I'd say 8 of them are done with their book. A few of them are getting close, but they're like in that, sloppy first copy stage. And one of them wrote, I did 2 Pomodoros this morning and I feel terrible. I should be doing more. And I was like, wait, whoa. Because the same thing happened to me this morning. I got up really early, like at 5. I don't usually, but I was up. I was like, oh, let's do some writing. And I was, I remember thinking, I'm not sure what I did was as good as, critical mind. I'm not sure if what I did was as good as I wanted it to be. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. You just rocked out from 6 a.m. to 7:15. You don't need to look at it right now. I bet you when you read it, you'll find the gold. There'll be gems in there. And I think, and almost every person I've ever worked with say that. They're like, well, when I walked away from it and I came back, I was like, whoa, I wrote more, better than I thought, or more than I thought, or something. But in that actual moment, the doubt creeps in. So I think that having that piece of being grateful, just that I showed up, is a game changer. I think that's one of the biggest game changers I've heard, in terms of a writing process, is having being grateful, relax and be grateful, because we're so hard on ourselves.
We are, and we talked about at the beginning how one of the challenges of most writers is self-confidence. And there's another piece to that too, is like, if you wrote today, don't worry so much about how good it is, because you can work with an editor. You can get beta readers to give you feedback. I was talking about my journal, and this writer's journal that I'm going to publish in January, and I almost immediately gave it to beta readers. And I think that was such a good thing to do, because they saw things I never saw. Yeah. I feel like it's going to be so much better a book if I were just trying to edit, my other book, like I edited before I showed to anyone. But, it's been really helpful. This is a really short book because it's a journal, and just getting this feedback, I feel like, oh, wow, these are things I never would have thought of. It's getting so much better so quickly. It's been miraculous. So like, beta readers are such an incredible resource too.
Excellent. And having, even your group, like that gives us that energy to remind ourselves that we're showing up. Lisa, like, that's a thing. How many, I wish I knew the exact numbers. I've actually hired people to try to do the research, like, of the 85% of the people that say that they want to write a book, what's the percentage of people that start the book? And then what's this percentage of people that finish the book? And it's something so small, it's ridiculous, So we forget that by showing up. And here's my thing is, I believe that, I believe in a creator who, if it gave us the desire to do something and had to have a calling, a soul's calling, that the creator also gave us a way to be successful at it if we were to show up for it. I don't believe in a creator that would give us a desire to do something and then not be successful in it, whatever success means to you.
I'm so with you.
Yeah. And so, much like the acorn has everything it needs to be the oak tree, if you feel a calling to write, and someone said, Devorah Spillman, you might know her, she said, she's not a writer. She mostly works with just helping people with their inner story. But she said something about writers fall in love with sentences. And I thought, oh my God, we do. Because not everybody does. By the way,
right.
So it's so wonderful that you're creating space, being held for those of us, like all writers, who really need that confidence and that sense of, here's a system, I can follow this system, and at the end there will be something there, which is I think what we all want, is to know there's something there.
Absolutely. So I have to ask a quick favor. So I closed my door because my neighbor, I decided he's the DJ of the neighborhood. He plays music so loud, but it's not playing right now, and it's sweltering. So I'm just gonna
no, go for it. No problem. That's hilarious. The DJ of the neighborhood.
It made me feel so better about, the music, like, not to like get too upset about it.
No. But I actually am enjoying people being a little free out there, But it does get warm. We are in the warm parts of the year, that's for sure. And you know what? There's a story right there. There's a character right there. I really, have to say, like, that's how I think. That's how us writers think. I'm like, ooh, the DJ. God, that's a cool character. There's something I was going to say about having a system, getting things. Because I want to say this. Can you tell the audience why it's important to finish?
Oh, that's a great question. I've never been asked that question. So, I'm going to say two things. So it's important to finish because you're writing it for others, not just for yourself. Usually, if you're writing in a journal, that's for you. But if you're writing another piece, there is this, you want to reach others. You want to have that transformation for people, unless you really are writing for, personal development, like healing. And then that's really writing it for yourself, most likely. But I will say, I have so many unfinished books, and I am so glad that I just used them for practice, didn't finish them, and now have a book that I feel so wonderful about,
Mhm.
which is this other writing book that's not the journal. I feel great about the journal too. It's so fun.
Yeah.
But this other book feels like it's the culmination of all the work I've done with my clients and that creativity work and the work with the muse. Like it really embodies all that I teach. And all those other books were pieces,
Mhm.
and some were other things, but they felt like practice. Um,
Mm.
and maybe it's because I'm an Aries. I love to start projects and not finish. So I might not be the best person to answer this question.
Well, what
But
about when you work with someone? What about what you've seen in terms of when someone finishes, that there's usually there's an opportunity there, whether it's a healing
yeah,
opportunity, a speaking opportunity, a different view on the next book. Maybe that wasn't the book they wanted to really write, but at least they got it out of the system so they could start the book they wanted to
it,
write.
it's true. And also being an author can really change your life. In fact, I think it always does. So I see amazing things happen to my clients after they finish their books. I'm sure you could tell stories too. But one that I love to tell, it's an older story, but Pat Hastings, she worked with me on a book called Simply a Woman of Faith. And it was just her stories of how God shows up in her life.
Mm.
And they were like these really amazing, crazy stories about like her husband was out of work and she loves to go to yard sales. So she was praised before the yard sales, and she prayed because he had a job interview, and she prayed for size 13 men's dress shoes for his interview. And would you believe she got to a yard sale and the person had been a shoe store that had gone out of business, and they had all these shoes. I mean, it was in their home, but this was something that they had because they
That
had
is
had a shoe store.
awesome.
So like she has stories like that. They're so funky and crazy and fun. So it's a really wonderful book. But but after she published this book, like she wanted to do a lot of traveling. She loved travel, so she ended up traveling on cruise ships, teaching the stuff in her book. She led retreats in Bermuda that were, all expenses paid, and then she got invited to do some trips in Hawaii. And Hawaii was this dream she'd never visited, but always deeply wanted. She ended up going a couple times, moving there, and then meeting the love of her life there. I mean, it just
Wow.
you really don't know how a book is going to change your life, but Pat is like the poster child for that.
That's awesome. But that's a great example. I mean, shoot for the moon, you land among the stars, right?
Yeah.
That's great. Well, you have a great free gift for us. So I would love for you to tell us about that, so everyone make sure to grab it.
Yeah. Well, it's the Inspired Author Support Kit, and it comes with this course that's an email course that really helps you get started on some of those initial thoughts about why you're writing and who you're writing for, and will really help you prepare for writing the book.
Mhm.
So, and there's some fun things like a permission slip from your muse that you should
Oh,
fill out, and kind of a template for a vision statement. You can go a lot further with that and make it your own, but
yeah.
it is a starting place if you want. So there's a lot of fun stuff in it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And yeah,
Oh, it's so generous of you. Thank you so much. And we'll also have the link on this page for the group, the Get Your Writing Done group. So you've got the free gift, and check out her Get Your Writing Done group, because that is a phenomenal place to get your writing done using the tenor method. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being here and inspiring the world, helping us heal ourselves and others through the process of writing and learning how to show up really and be the writer that we're meant to be. Because I feel like one of the things that we've kind of, showed people, and you show people all the time, is if we keep all that energy and that creativity in a stuck space, it's not going to be healthy for us or for anyone else. And you've already showed how some of your clients really just, exploded and helped, who knows, the ripple effect that Pat had on the world,
yeah.
right? So thank you so much. Your energy and your spirit and everything you do, I'm really, really honored to have you on the show.
Oh, Don, thank you. It is always such a pleasure to connect with you, and I know that you're your people and everyone who works with you is so fortunate to be working with you, because I feel that way about you too.
Yeah.
So little love fest at the
I
end.
know, a little bit. I love it. I know. And East Coast, she's an East Coast girl too, which I love. Well, thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Cool off a bit and have fun with the summertime. And good luck with your book. I can't wait till it comes out. I want to read it so bad.
Thank you. Well, I'll be asking you for a blurb.
Okay, I'll do it. Totally. Bye.
Take care.